we'll start with the identification tag on the side. Here you find the manufacturer, VIN number, date it was manufactured, tire sizes, and some weights. To the left you have cargo weights and also your VIN number, and then a tire chart there with pressures. Up front, your batteries behind your propane. These aren't maintenance-free batteries, so you may have to add water to them at some point. If you're not going to be using your unit for a while, I would disconnect it. There is a bit of a power drain coming from the stereo and carbon monoxide detector. And for winter storage, I would put it somewhere warm. In front, you have a 20-pound propane tank. There's no selectors, just one tank, so it's just a matter of turning the valve on this one. Power jack at the front, on and off for light and up and down. And these power jacks, they come with a crank too, so if you ever have no power, you can manually crank it. Just take the rubber garment out the top there and you can crank it up and down. You have your breakaway here. This key does pull out. One thing to remember, if your battery's hooked up and the key gets pulled out, it does activate your brakes. So if it's left like that for an extended period of time, it can do damage to them. So just kind of keep an eye, make sure the key stays in. And there's a little plug-in here for a solar panel. If you ever decide to get a solar panel, and there is a pigtail inside there, so you'd have to buy the solar panel. Your hot water heater, these are gas and 110 electric. All the controls are on the inside. The really only thing that you need to know out here is your drain, the plug here. And for winterization, that's a big one. Make sure that the water heater is drained. You have a couple low points. With these, after you do your winterization, just crack the valves. It'll drain the last little bit of water out. That's all you really need to do with them. You have city water connection. If you're at a campsite that has water right at your campsite, you can just run your garden hose right there. And you have your water fill for your tank. If you need to haul water, this is where you fill that. Your furnace, intake and exhaust. Just kind of note that not to store anything in front of that. It gets super hot. You have your black tank valve there. And the low point drain here is your water tank drain. Underneath your slide is your sewer dump. The two vents on your slide here are for your fridge. All the controls are on the inside, so you don't need to go into the back. You do notice there's a hose sticking out here. That's for condensation, so you got to make sure that stays out. You don't want that leaking inside. Your gray water and sewer dump is over on this side. Your tank flush for your black tank, if you're going to be using that, just make sure that you have your black tank valve open, or it'll just fills your tank up and you'll end up with a mess. You have your cable TV and satellite input there. Shower, hot and cold outside shower. And you have your plug-in for your shore cord, 30 amp. In the end of your bumper is where your sewer hose is. Stabilizer jacks. Stabilizers on all four corners. With your stabilizers, when you crank them, they're not meant to lift the camper by any means. They just set them down on the ground just for support. Spare tire mounted to the back. Underneath the window here is a mount for a backup camera. These are pre-wired for them. If you do decide to put something like that on later on, it's very easy. You have a propane hookup at the back, a quick coupler with a valve. Power awning, your entrance door, a couple outside speakers. With your wheels, these caps do pull off, and there is grease nipples in behind, so you can grease your wheel bearings. I would recommend doing that once a year, just a couple squirts. If you are putting a lot of miles on though, I do recommend getting repacked. TV mount. If you want to mount a TV outside, this is the mount for it. There's actually the other part of the mounts on the inside. We'll show that to you when we get in there. You got out 110 outlet, and then your output for your satellite and cable there. Another set of low point drains, same as the other side there. Just crack those after you're done your winterization. And inside here, you got your short cord. This is the crank for your power jack, your front jack, if you ever need to crank it manually. And then the other crank is for your stabilizers. The light switch in here is for your cap lights, right there. And then the light's just a push button light there. All right, that's about it for the outside. We'll head on inside.